love the concept of the humanness of design, how people need to be put first. And I'm wondering how that extended throughout the years in terms of Herman Miller. How was that carried on?
Sure. I would say it's in the DNA. George Nelson followed Gilbert Rohde because Gilbert died young and unexpectedly, and it's a longer and interesting story how George got involved with Herman Miller and DJ and DJ's son Hugh Dupree, who was CEO at the time. What really involved was the recognition that it's all about problem solving. It's really about seeing the needs and then meeting the needs. It's not about reacting to a market. It's about research, being research-driven, research-based rather, and design-driven, which means the discovery of needs and a way to meet them is not something you address by what sort of niches are in the market that we should pursue. So it gave the basis for Herman Miller to be able to continually looking for new situations and new needs. So they were unconcerned about who was doing what else. They really led the way in any number of new products and establishment of new markets. And George really was the person who put in place the tenets of the company about such things as you decide what you will make, meaning don't let the market drive you, discover what the needs are, and that there is a market for good design and all about, very much honest use of materials. And it was George, by the way, who brought in Charles and Ray Eames, Isamu Noguchi, Alexander Girard. So he set the base for designers working outside the company, bringing good ideas to the company.
You just mentioned Charles and Ray Eames, and in your book, which is a fabulous book called Herman Miller: The Purpose of Design, there's an interview that you excerpted that Charles Eames answered some questions relating to design.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was, he was asked, does the creation of design admit constraints? And Charles Eames' answer was, design depends largely on constraints.
Right.
And he seemed, in other areas, you mentioned this, that he seemed to love the concept of constraints in terms of design. Can you explain what he meant by that and why that's so valuable to the concept of innovation and design?
Oh, sure. And I totally agree, of course, with that thinking. The constraints of materials and time and use and process, all of the things that one ought to consider about a design rather than thinking of something of just looking pretty. So it's very much, when you're dealing with constraints, you're recognizing the framework within which you need to work, which creates the opportunity for you to also go outside of that framework. But you've triggered a thought for another quote of Charles. It's not in the book and certainly isn't in that Q&A. And by the way, that comes from a film called Design Q&A, which is a great film. It's only 5 minutes long, so if you ever have a chance to see it, I would encourage that. But Charles also said the degree to which a designer has a style is a degree to which he didn't solve the problem. I think that's a great line.
It is. And can you translate that? Because that's brilliant.
Sure. A lot of people used to think in terms of the Eames style. Well, there really is no Eames style, and even Charles and Ray would laugh at the concept of an Eames style. They were concerned with proper use of materials, being able to show how things were made so that you couldn't hide a manufacturing process. So it was about meeting the particular need. It wasn't about a style. So I think one could think in terms of some designers today which maybe are producing products that are more style-based around their own particular characteristics. Michael Graves comes to mind, more than are they really meeting the need.
Makes sense. It makes total sense.